Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Average Superstar TV. I am your host, Loren Lepre. Please give us a like, subscribe, and share on YouTube. And as we are also available on Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. We have a new episode that drops every Monday at 5 a.m. Feel free to add us on Instagram and Facebook. And this week, I brought out an entire warrior team here. Okay.
I like that.
Everyone who knows my background knows I'm involved in a lot of things between film festivals, podcasting, making films. I'm very big on conventions. And I'm also have a big hand in Freedom Shorts and Liberty Massacre, which is a film festival I ran out of Philadelphia. But for this round, one of the big conventions across America for horror movies is the Days of the Dead convention, which I've been to. And it is run very well. And they also have a film festival. So I've been waiting to have people on that actually have film festivals. And so we're about to break bread. So right now we have Sophia, George, and Audrey. I would like to welcome you to Average Superstar TV.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start with Sophia. Tell us your origin of how you got the Days of the Dead.
I mean, it's these two right here, or I guess this way, these two right here, for sure. We have worked together for years for other conventions, other film festivals. And literally just one morning, I got a text message being like, hey, Soph, call me. And that was all it said. Just, hey, Soph, call me. And I was like, okay, is everything okay? Like, and as soon as I picked up, she's like, I have a great opportunity with a convention that you already know the name of, you're already familiar with. And so she basically was like, we are coming in, we're overhauling, and we want you on as the events manager. So I was lucky enough to join them as their events manager. So I'm basically just here to plan out events throughout the weekend. I guess it's really the big picture of it. After parties, off parties, anything around the actual screenings. Oh my God.
Don't you push that off screen. That's ratings. Get that back up here.
He messed your beard up.
He was just digging his claws into my chest.
Oh,
that hurts.
For anyone who can't see the visual, George's cat just crawled on him. He pushed it away like a meanie.
He thinks he's famous. He likes it.
He's a superstar.
Sweet. And Audrey, what's your background into?
Gosh, I mean, it's so funny because time has really flown. Started going to conventions about 10 years ago, didn't even want to go. I had to be dragged there kicking and screaming, and what a difference a day makes. So, I mean, we've got, history with doing this, and this opportunity came up, and it's been great because this is the first time we've actually come in to a situation where it's just so different. It's already an established film festival, but they haven't had it for 2 years. So it's kind of like starting from the ground up. But it's great because we came with the team. We've got an awesome fucking team, and we're just ready to kick ass. But yeah, this has been years in the making, it kind of feels like, but it was kind of unintentional also. We didn't know that we would be where we are right now in such a short period of time, but yay for us.
Awesome. And George?
I was the one that dragged Audrey to the convention to
good job
kicking and screaming, but it did end up making it to where we can do some cool stuff. So really digging that. And then of course we met just that boss level that we needed with Sophia over here, just helping us be a better version of us. Because we had a pretty good idea of certain things that we wanted to do, and to make sure that those things were implemented, we needed somebody that was solid and was just right after it was the first day that we met Sophia and she was working with us. That night, Audrey, back in the hotel room, she was like, I'm telling you, you got to meet this go-getter, Sophia. And she was describing her. I'm like, yeah, I saw her with it at the table. And it's just like, man, she's a go-getter. She's all about it. And so she's really helped us be a better version of us and pushed us even further than what we already were, than what our plans already were. So thank you, Sophia. And also thank you, Audrey, for
awesome.
Going to that first convention.
I like to let's put the convention itself and the film festival on hold for a second. I'm just curious about the origin. Sophia, what were you always into horror movies?
No. Yes and no.
Okay.
So my dad, growing up, huge film buff, and so he showed me little things here and there. Like my first ever was Halloween 3, which is still one of my all-time favorite movies. Love Tom Atkins.
She does.
I really do. He's one of my favorite actors. And then he also showed me things like The Grudge, The Ring. Like I was born in '96, so I kind of unfortunately missed out on a lot of that good '80s horror.
Yes.
So I saw more of the like late '90s, early 2000s, like Scream, stuff like that. Kind of dropped off for a while, and then kind of funny, matched a guy on Tinder, and we really vibed. He was really into horror, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come work this horror convention with me? Like, come hang out. You know, I'm staff here." I was like, "Okay, sure, why not?" Absolutely fell in love with something I never knew that I was missing from my life. As soon as I walked in those doors, it was like the Mecca. It opened up and I was like, there's a Freddy Krueger running around drinking a beer. We got Michael and Jason over here like fighting in the hall. Like it was insane. And sitting in on the film festival there as well, it's really started like the independent horror spark in me. So that's really what started. It was going to conventions and having that like little bit of childhood memory peeked back and remembering like, oh my gosh, Halloween 3, like, and having those connections to those movies growing up is kind of what started it for me.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. Well, I'm glad you came around. That's for sure.
It only took like 20 years. It's okay.
Yeah, and I bet you like side note right now. There's about you said the T word, so I have a feeling there's a bunch of guys running to Tinder to look up your name.
No longer there. Sorry.
All right, Audrey. What's up? Just curious your background into horror.
Oh my gosh, I think it probably started because I have a really good memory. And I remember going to see Amityville Horror. We're not going to talk about like the age thing, but yeah, I saw Amityville Horror at the drive-in, and I remember going up the stairs that night to go to bed, and I wasn't scared of anything until my sister started scaring me. But I also really like to be scared, and just sneaking to watch movies that I shouldn't be watching. I mean, I saw so many inappropriate things at such a young age that I can finally comp to my mom and be like, yeah, I really did watch that. So I don't know. I've always loved horror. And then after I started going to the conventions, I met my first podcast partner. Total fucking nut, had to end that, but it got me in. No, she was a nut stalker, but it really kind of helped me get back into that love of writing again. And so then I started writing more, writing reviews, podcasting, and then things just kind of transitioned. I don't want to say on their own, like pieces of the puzzle were just kind of waiting to be put in place. So I'd say I'm a lifelong horror buff. But I love this aspect of the job because it makes me feel like I'm really helping get that next, filmmaker, next movie, next whatever out to the audience. And it's such a good feeling because, I mean, you're a director, you find that mecca of a movie and you're just like, my day can be complete now. I've seen it. I'm done. I don't have to watch 10 more movies. I saw the coup de grace today and I'm going to go to sleep. So lifelong horror fan. This just kind of transitioned into something that was very unexpected, but very good and very rewarding.
Awesome. George, it's your turn. But before you go into that, I have a feeling you were in it the entire time. Yeah, you were born into horror, weren't you? Oh, you hear me, George? No, we're not hearing George at all.
We can't hear you.
George, we can't hear you, bud. We're not hearing you. You hearing that? I think you're good. No?
Ooh.
Now we're hearing you? George, why don't you drop out and come back in? Like drop out of StreamYard and come back in. It might reset. Okay.
Of course, technical difficulties.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna get. I think he's using his phone because he actually.
He
turned it
is,
on.
and it usually happens to me every single time. It's always me. Always, I am always like, she knows, like things will just stop working. It'll just shut off. It can be something computerized, and all of a sudden it'll be my turn in line. The whole machine just shuts down.
I always just find, just reboot the computer too. Like it's always just get it back on. But all right, well, until we get George returns. So tell us about. I could go on the dark side of this stuff too. Like that, there's the glory of this, and you want to do best for the filmmakers versus, the horrors of dealing with some of these film directors that just don't know sometimes. Like it's crazy.
I think the hardest thing is, I think being in the horror community for so long, it's been, a decade. And I think coming from someone that was just volunteering at the convention, during the screenings and stuff like that, and then being in this position now, I think we've met so many people and acquired so many friendships and acquaintances and, friends with vendors, friends with celebrities, friends with filmmakers. It's a precarious situation when you have to now judge said film and still be mindful of, yes, this is someone you know and you care about, but at the same time, you are in your role as a professional and a director, and you have to say no to some things, and you love the people that, that make these films. And then sometimes you have to say no. So when you're talking about dealing with filmmakers in that aspect, sometimes that can be a little difficult for sure.
Yeah. So tell us your process, because going back to when I first started mine in 2012, it came a long way. Like I had a giant theater, full screen, this top of the line freaking Blu-ray player. And I remember this is just how it was. I didn't know. I had people burn a CD or DVD. I'm sorry, a DVD or Blu-ray, and they'd give it to me, and they'd have the event, and we would actually open it up, put it in, play it. You'd see the eject button. Out comes the next one. And I was learning. I didn't know it.
Right.
I didn't know. And then little by little, hey, let's try to burn this to one master Blu-ray. All right. On top of that, let's have a laptop, with a playlist. And, before you know it, it's flowing. It's cooking the way you want it. And then you get to Film Freeway. That's I'm pretty sure that's probably is that one of the outlets you guys use?
Yeah, we so with our other convention, we used Festome and Film Freeway. And Festome, I just didn't really. I don't think in 2 years that we got one submission from there. And it was so crazy. And I'm like, how the hell is this happening? Is something wrong with the listing? And I don't know. It's weird. So we don't use them anymore. We're just solely Film Freeway. But it is very manageable because I feel very fortunate that we're doing this at this time where everything can be right on Film Freeway, the trailer, the film, the stills, the poster, and we can just pull all that information and use it how we need it, like for promotion, use it to load films in. So we got, we're pretty lucky to be doing it right now.
Gotcha. That's great. And so how do you go about picking your process? Because I had a particular way of doing it. I'm just kind of curious between.
So, and see, so I'll speak to specifically to Days of the Dead. So we have our film festival committee. So I'm trying to think no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing this one and the other one. Sorry. Geez. Okay. So let's talk about the other convention. So the first, 2 cycles of submissions we did blind, just because I think even if you don't intend to be biased, sometimes you can be. So we blocked to where they can only watch the film, rate it. You don't see any other judges' ratings. You don't see any bio information from the filmmakers. You don't see anything because we're really big about films being judged on merit and not over anything else personal. None of that. It's like, because sometimes, like I said, you can automatically be biased. So then after those first 2 submission deadlines, we went ahead and opened it up so we can start discussing, and looking at ratings and already start to try to narrow things down. We, you nominate, you thumbs up, thumbs down. You have to do the whole criteria. We kind of tweaked our criteria for what we're judging. Like we added digital effects and, along with special effects and a couple of other things, because when you open up the Film Freeway, it's very standard, but you can kind of tweak the things that you're judging on. And it's everybody has to do the 11-point system of rating and then do a comment and then do award nominations in the notes section. And then from there, we start narrowing things down based on score and thumbs up and start discussing things. Luckily, we haven't gotten to that point where either of us have had to make a tiebreaker decision yet, but we're still in the process of doing awards. So we'll see. So we try to be just mindful of judging everything as is, the movie, the merit of the movie, and nothing else. So.
Gotcha. So you're taking on this is a brand new one, for all you here. I mean, you guys know this convention, but this is your first time running it.
Yeah.
So it goes down next month, the last month of February.
Last week of February 20. It's technically the convention side is February 25th through the 27th, but the Film Fest, we start a day early with a screening, and we're going to have a pretty dope-ass kickoff party on Thursday, the 24th. So
awesome. So my festival had Freedom Shorts and Liberty Massacre. So, Freedom Shorts it could be a drama, cartoon, a horror movie, an action, anything, nice. Anime. Liberty Massacre is exactly what it sounds like, right?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't think about Philadelphia, Freedom where it started, Freedom Shorts, Liberty, Massacre. I thought I figured I'd go with the theme, but there's nothing else but the festival. It's strictly on that. You guys have you have a big edge, but your big edge is also a double-edged sword because you got all the fans there, but they're mostly drawn to the high cons.
Well, it depends, I think, on the person, because I think there's some people that will go mainly for the film fest, but will go do the other stuff. A majority of the convention people, and I feel like it's going to take us, until our next show also, because now the film festival has been gone for 2 years. So we're having to, work a little harder and smarter to make sure that people know that we're there. And that is, like you said, kind of the double-edged sword when you have a convention and film festival. You've got to let them know, hey, the film festival, hey, we're over here. And so, but that's the fun part of promoting and going out and interacting with the crowd and passing out, the filmmaker material. We're lucky enough to be able to have a couple of tables inside the vendor hall, so people know we're there also, where filmmakers will be. And then we've got, Sophia can chime in on her part as far as with events, how that brings attention to the festival also.
Yeah, I know, going into this, one thing that Audrey, George, and I all talked about was that we no longer wanted to be in the shadow of the convention.
Yes.
Like you said, the double-edged sword. A lot of the times coming into these things, people are there to meet Robert Englund. They're there to meet the entire cast of a film, And
they might have to stay in line all day for that.
Right. Yeah. And so it's difficult to pull people from that main reason that they're there to go.
Yeah.
And one thing that we have kind of been pushing for this show, Atlanta in particular, is really leaning into events. Yes, we're going to do screenings, but we're going to reel in the screenings. We're going to film fewer, higher quality films. And then we're going to fill some of those time slots with networking activities, social activities. We have a really cool workshop that we're going to be doing in Atlanta, and we're going to be doing a series of panels throughout the weekend that are all correlated versus doing individual panels. Okay. So little things like that will pull audience and then keep them engaged throughout the weekend. We found that, when general audience members from the convention, when they meet filmmakers, they're more apt to go to screenings. They're more apt to indulge more in the film festival, whether it be kickoff parties, after parties, going to even other filmmakers screenings, award ceremonies. It's a personal connection, especially in the Midwest. It really pulls people in. So that's something that we focused. And that's why I'm excited to be here. Is I get to plan events for the entire weekend versus just doing, one or two. We're definitely pulling in on events and leaning into those.
What you said there, I could definitely sign off on and say I'm proof that worked, because when I filmed my movie, The Dark Military, which played there in Atlanta and in Indianapolis, I remember why we were editing. The movie wasn't even out. I was out at all the conventions getting a table, showing them snips and giving them free stickers and all that shirts.
Mm-hmm.
When the movie came out, I had a lot of people down that area be like, "Oh, it finally came out." So what you just said about being personal with your fans, it does matter. I always tell filmmakers that, like, especially if you're in a horror movie, you got to go out and meet the fans. And they say, "Well, hey, it costs money." I'm like, "Yes, it does." But it's indie. It's called indie. You got to do the work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one thing, even when we were with Horror Hound and with PopCon as well, that's the other convention that we run, we were always adamant to tell filmmakers, even if you cannot be there. And oh my gosh, I had so much stuff in our house at some point, like some things I was able to send back to people. So we're like, send us posters, send us, 4x6 cards with your screening time, send us hats, t-shirts, whatever you want to send. Make sure it's here by a certain day, and we will promote for you as if you were there. So we think that that's one of the things that we've always valued and had number one priority is the filmmaker, and making sure that we got as many asses in the seats as we could, that we did them due diligence to help that happen.
And I think that's really important too, is like these filmmakers, I mean, you spend tons of money flying out, getting hotel rooms, paying for all this promotional material. People don't think about the sacrifice that these filmmakers are making just to come out to see their movie play on a screen at a film festival. Like, I think that considering filmmakers is another huge part of what we're trying to do here. We're really trying to enhance the experience for them as well as general audience.
Very good. Yes, it's very big. It's crazy because it's like you go out of your way for these filmmakers. You really, really, really. We're trying to get George back in here. We got a George. Darn.
I can. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
But we can't see you.
My camera is not working, so I'm just.
Don't worry about it then. We got a cool
the
picture of you.
horrible avatar and make it work.
You can
I don't
pop
know.
in
I
here
don't
with
know
me.
if you've been. I don't know if you've been hearing the show anyway, but we'll get you to chime in it momentarily. But yeah. So I totally get where you're going at with really looking out for the filmmakers. I have to tell you, for a guy who ran 26 film festivals, that it also could go the other way, where the filmmaker needs to do his jobs to help the film festival. Which I could tell you, there has been times where I would select a film. I knew the person. they were kind of within the tri-state area. And I would screen their event. I'd screen their movie. And they would come to the event solo. But there'd be 20, 30, 40 cast members of the area that are into film. And I'd be like, dude, you tell anyone? Like, after 3 months, I didn't even let anybody know. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I feel so stupid. I'm like, yo, like, I'm here to make you look great.
Right.
Like, I do have bills to pay here. There's yeah, I mean, I've had cast members hit me up, be like, that director's a freaking buffoon. I was just home doing nothing. Like, I would have came. You're like, oh my God.
Well, I think that's something that we have all picked up on working film festivals. So we really, really push on especially social media presence.
Yep.
We try to put out promotions, throughout, almost daily at this point. Honestly, with this film fest, I feel like everyone has been posting something daily.
And man, I just got to chime in there. Bill Philpott, the owner, is badass. I mean, this dude does multiple posts. He's constantly working on the fest. He's working on next month, but he's also working on the indie show in July and the Chicago show in May. And he is really good about having a social media presence. And that takes a little bit of pressure off me because I hate social media. I just don't like it. I don't like to do it. When I'm on there, I really want to work. Every now and then with close people, I'll chime in and people I keep in touch with. But I found that it's really demoralizing for me sometimes when you get off into reading things that are just ridiculous. And but he makes it really easy. We've got a social media person, Bridget Knox, which is amazing. Our whole team is amazing. But for me personally, it really takes a lot of pressure off me to constantly post. It's like I post and I can give them things to like put out, but it's really nice that we do have such a big social media presence, because then that leaves us a little freer to do our job, which is make sure that everything is set for next month. Because not to, to brag, and I don't want it to be a bragatory statement, but to come in at the end of November and take this job and get things ready and get our whole team acclimated and get ready to do a show next month, that while we're running another film festival as well, I think we really made strides to get that done. So I'm really proud of our team for just doing what they do and being them and being so ready to jump in and say, yeah, let's do this. So thank you, team.
That's really cool. And I mean, this whole Pat team right here, you're in charge of all of them, the Chicago, everything?
So we'll be doing 2 cycles of Film Fest, but in 4 shows. So normally how it would go, we wanted to make a comeback for Atlanta. Instead of trying to do 4 shows in 1 year, we needed to come in and get acclimated. So normally how it will go. So July, we will have a show in Indy and LA, and the awards will be in LA. So that is our summer cycle. And then November in Chicago and February in Atlanta will be our winter show. So we're kind of like starting halfway just so we can kind of jump in and actually be able to make sure that we can get this, get it done and not be overextended and not put on a good show. So yeah, there'll be 4 screenings a year. Sweet.
And let's just check. George, you there?
Yep.
All right, brother. Yeah, I know you fell off on us, but before you faded out the first time, I was asking you, and I said, I was saying, I have a feeling you always were, but were you always into horror movies? I was just kind of looking at your origin.
Oh yeah, my dad told me that the day that I came home, whenever I was born, it was like the thing that they remember most that was on TV, because it was one of my dad's favorite. He raised me on was the original Godzilla.
Yeah.
So he kind of raised me just like watching all the classic Universal films and the Hammer films. So he didn't want me to watch any of the stuff in the early 80s. Like when Nightmare on Elm Street came out, I was like, ooh, I want to see that. And he's like, no, you can't watch that yet. So it wasn't.
Your dad and my dad would have gotten along, because I wasn't allowed to rent anything.
Yeah.
I came from an Italian house. So, and like rules were strict. We didn't swear, and there was no violence on TV in any way, so I hear you on that one.
Yeah, it helped a lot to have that foundation. And then I was able to build on that with, later on watching all those horror movies and of course, sneaking around to friends' houses and being able to watch my, the Halloween movies, all of them, the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, everything that everybody was like, ooh, you got to see this. And, oh, did you watch this? I'm like, no, I can't watch it. So you and I share
that, because I remember always when I was in my elementary school era, we on Halloween, we would always stay over a friend's house, and they had HBO, and they would all fall asleep by 11. And I would be up till 6 a.m. Like, I did not fall asleep. I remember Invasions of the Body Snatchers and
nice.
Halloween 3. I remember like all of it. And then the next morning, like they're like, dude, you look so tired. But yeah. But I was on adrenaline. I'm like, Mom and Dad don't know.
Oh yeah, just a complete horror binge. And then we had our local horror host. His name's Sammy Terry. And so growing up watching that was just a huge outlet of it was like my night was watching Sammy Terry and then following up with Glow Wrestling. And I was just like, man, I'm like, that's a cool childhood.
Yeah, it is. By the way, Glow on Netflix was like the top shows I've seen.
It was so good. I
hate that they're not getting the farewell. I hate that. That was so good.
And it was so uncalled for. It's like some of the other things that they had on. I'm like, really? You couldn't finish Glow, really?
Yeah, and like the budget. I know. I realize like everything costs money, but those episodes were like a half hour. Like,
And there was no budget. There was no special effects.
no,
There was no
a wrestling ring. It's a wrestling ring in a hotel. That was it. It was like, yeah. And I thought it was just so well written. I thought every character was amazing. Minus the girl that was the Viking. Nothing against the actress. I just thought that was the one character they didn't
need, or
she either needed to get in more or you could have wrote her off, you know. But
yeah, Betty Gilpin is fucking amazing. I started watching her on in Nurse Jackie, which was such a phenomenal series. And then she also did The Hunt. Oh
yeah.
Did you see The Hunt?
Did not see The Hunt. No, I did not.
You gotta watch that one. The Hunt is good. I've watched it like 4 times. Sometimes when I'm working, I'm like, what am I gonna put on while I'm working? Oh, The Hunt.
I just thought it was a beautiful show. I didn't even know it was canceled. Someone like sent me the link 4 months later. I was like, "Oh no!" But yeah,
it was good.
Cool. So George, I don't know how much you were hearing, but the girls were kind of breaking down what you guys do and all that. But we can keep going, obviously. But what do you get out of doing this? Like personally,
I get to feed that monster that that horror monster if the little kid knew what I was doing today and the people that I'm meeting and being able to be involved in all that stuff that we're getting to do now, he would have just lost his stuff. So I'm trying to watch my language because I don't know.
You can say what you want. I don't swear, but like I don't tell any. I didn't tell anyone beforehand. You can't do whatever you want. Be you.
Gotcha. But I mean, so that stuff was just going to be super awesome. I mean, just is being able to do all this stuff and meet all these people and get involved within a lot of films, even beyond just doing the film festival. But having filmmakers ask me, hey, will you mind being a script supervisor on this, and checking it out. And yes, I'm like, the level of jobs and opportunities that this arena is offering, and it's just constantly, it's just like, that sounds cool. I think at the base level, it's just, I like to do fun and cool stuff. And this is open doors for me to do fun and cool stuff.
Yeah, George, I think I could definitely bounce off exactly what you said about, like, wow, if the little kid in me could see, like the first time I ever got, a Horror Icon's phone number and I'm staring at it in my address book, I'm like, they gave this to me. Like, yeah. I'm cool enough to talk to these people, and like having Alex Vincent in my film, The Dark Military, even, like, it's just like, wow, so I totally get it. And I think the words, I could say that you were trying to go for is you're appreciative of all of it, as I am.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the friendships I think that we've made with people and constantly keeping in touch with them. Like today, there was a announcement from a filmmaker that we've worked with Horror Hound and PopCon, and his script for the movie is now being made. Deadline just released, details today that the movie's being made. It's called Little Darling. It's kind of based on the curse of the Little Darling car with James Dean. And because even before James Dean owned it, the previous owner, well, in case no one knows that story, had a questionable demise also. So just keeping in touch with people and seeing that they're going to go on to hopefully bigger and, and better things and make their mark on the film world. It's a really cool experience to have, because sometimes you're meeting these people just when they're getting started and just kind of watching them grow and aspire to more, things. It's really cool and it's rewarding, because you're like, wow, I remember seeing this, film for the first time and sometimes it's not even our film festivals. We see that we go to other festivals. So, just getting to see these people doing their craft and getting better at it. And if I can just tell this little quick story. So there was a filmmaker, and I don't, want to call him by name, but he had been entering the film fest, and for like I think on his third or fourth movie, it was like, struck gold. And you could see each film that he submitted, he was getting better at his craft. And then it hit that echelon where, yes, it broke bread. It was, score wise, thumbs up. Everyone was like, okay, yes, it's good. And just, I think seeing that the determination and seeing his skill get better. And he went from not being selected for 3 cycles to, now he's selected and now he's in. And it was really just good to see because he didn't stop. And I love that. He wasn't deterred. He wasn't, put upon. He wasn't, I don't know. It was just a really cool experience. And for me, I think out of the whole time we've been doing this, he will always be up here. Like, I will always think about him every cycle, every time we do this, I think about him.
I have some similar stories like that, but I know what you mean. And I think that's awesome that, you see the hard work.
Absolutely. And that's the sad part is you see that this person is doing, and sometimes it's a competition thing. Sometimes that cycle is just, it's a really tough cycle and there's a lot of competition and there's ones that you want to put in and you have to cut films. You can't put everything in. But man, I'm telling you, that one just gets me. Look, I'm getting all choked. That one just gets me in the feels all the time because I just think that you don't quit. You don't quit. If you love something, you always should make a movie for you and not who you think is going to like it, because I'm but one opinion. Sophia's an opinion. George is an opinion. We may not all, there's people that may not agree with us, but we will give each movie its fair fucking shake. And that's, that's all you can do is be fair. Everyone's treated the same, but I'm telling you, he will always be on my mind because it was dope to see it happen.
Yeah. Kind of curious, as I was obviously in the same situation, but my last 3 film festivals, I was getting so many submissions from around the world, and it was a really big compliment to me. And I was running multiple venues. Then comes the nightmare of you're pressed and you got to make cuts. And it came to the point where I remember looking, I got 6 hours. I basically, all these that I want to select, I got to cut 6 hours out. And I'm just kind of curious how you even come up with your process of these are all heavyweights and somebody's got to fall. We already know the ones underneath are, that's an easier decision. But I used to come up with how many film is this? These 5 films? Oh, they're kind of the same. They're all doing the text message thing from the dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so I'm going to take the best one of that. Not like these other 4 bad films, but I can't have the same thing twice.
Yeah, you can't have 5 zombie movies in one cycle. And so we get that logic. Absolutely. So if you've got a film that's a 6.5 and there's a film that's a 5.5 and you've got 15, you've got 5 zombie movies and this one's pretty unique. You got to kind of go with that thing. You got to also kind of think of your audience. What are they going to like? Are they going to want to see the same film? Probably not. They're going to want something a little different and fresh and unique. Story matters. And I have to tell you, when we cut things, I think most of the things, at least for me, when I'm doing my list, one of the big things for me is sound. If you can have a really good movie, and if that sound is crap, it's really hard.
That's an easy deny for me though. Because I always said lighting. Everybody knows lighting and audio make a film. The actors can't shine without it. Mm-hmm. So but so I know what you're saying. I mean, and all filmmakers out there, take note of that. That's 2 film fest directors telling you right here, sound matters.
It really does. And I think doing some, so when we were doing, so when we did the first video, and I don't know how we pulled that sound off because it was just perfect with the water splashing. So we did a promo video for our blood drive for Horror Hound.
Oh yeah.
And we're filming and stuff. And one of our other team members, Kelsey, filmed, and didn't make her, but Sophia's in homemade blood, and that was good fucking blood too.
It's not just homemade blood. I need to exaggerate this because it was a bit traumatic for me. It was corn syrup that had been sitting in Audrey's trunk in the middle of January for a week.
Sorry.
Poured directly into a bathtub in which I dipped myself down into It was the coldest. I was washing corn syrup out of my hair. No, exactly.
I want to see this video. Link me out.
Oh, we've got it. I will send it to you. We've got it.
My gosh. It turned out so good. And it was, don't get me wrong, it was the best time. I loved every second of it. But like, I remember getting like, I was in like, they wanted me to look essentially like I was just naked in this blood of bath. So I had on like a crop little bikini and I dip into this freaking tub full of ice cold corn syrup. And I try, you can see in my eyes in the video that there's an initial like shock of like, oh my God, that's so cold. Like, it was rough.
But we didn't know dick about sound. I mean, I've been on set, I've done stuff and it worked out. But and then when we were filming commercials and different segments with Rockabilly Blood Productions, hey Spikes, we love you to death, man. Him just taking so much time to get the sound right. And here's one of his famous things. Are you going to talk at that volume during the video? And I'm like, what do you mean? Isn't it said? He goes, well, I love you, but you can get really loud. You're loud. He's like, so talk in your regular voice like you're loud, like you're excited. And so I'm trying to get my levels right. But just the time and precision that he took to make sure that we are where we needed to be. And he taught himself this. So if he can teach himself, I know other people can, you know, if you can't hire somebody, just try to do trial runs, do, you know, variances, just try to make sure that sound, you know, we'd rather it be too loud and then you can bring the volume down and adjusting.
Yep.
Then it be too low because then you're like, oh my gosh, you can't get the sound louder. It's so low.
Yeah. Yep. Always. Yeah. Too loud's the easier one. Yeah. Too low.
For sure.
Yeah. So great.
It's a skill. I mean, it is a skill, but it is very, very important. Like you said, the lighting and the sound, other things you can, you know, because those are the basics. Those are the things that will take someone right out of the movie. If I have to sit there and with my remote while I'm watching this, because all of a sudden it just gets, you know, to like a 45 and then the rest is like a 15 and then it just keeps the variance of going, you know, in waves up and down. So yes, that I'd say honestly, that is two of the things that you have total control over. So please try to get the sound and the lighting.
Did you ever turn, I'm just kind of curious between the three of you, ever turn something down because they're trying too hard on the offensive side and you're just turned off?
I'm going to let someone else answer that first.
Oh, most definitely.
Judging, but I've seen some stuff where I've been like, it's borderline. I've seen some borderline things for sure. But I think the beautiful thing about horror is that it is built off of the borderline. Mm-hmm. So sometimes even when you see stuff where you start to question, you know, is this quote unquote publicly offensive or whatever? I think that you got to really reel in and remember that that's where horror was based off of, pushing the limits of what has been seen before on film. So I've never, I mean, this is my first cycle. I saw nothing offensive this cycle. I saw a lot of great stuff this cycle. But I've sat in on film festivals where I have mentally been like, did we need to include that? But I don't think it's ever been anything where I've been like, I've been deterred to a film by something I've seen, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. George, any comments on that?
Yeah, my biggest issue is when people like they'll try to, like, you know, like right now, like everything is, you know, they're looking at things in a societal, you know, issue, and they're like, oh, well, I want to point, you know, put a thumb on this certain aspect of, you know, society. And then they make it really cringy. And I'm like, no, stop doing that. I'm like, stop. Like, I get what you're wanting to say, but it doesn't have to be always right on the nose. It's just like, and then it's cringy. And I'm like, stop doing that. It's just like, you know, and then people are like, you know, I know that there's a lot of folks who are like, well, we need you to be a voice. No, I need you to make a good film. I could care less about certain other things, but if you have a message, make it something that that's palpable, that I feel like digesting. Don't just, you know, shove it down my throat and it's something like, oh, hey, I'm interested. No, it's just like, no, if that's your perspective, I don't know, go protest somewhere. But I don't want to see, you know, some stuff really, especially now that we're seeing a lot of films, it's not good. And I do like things that really push limits, just as long as that limit's it's not preachy, because then I'm like, all right, now I'm turned off, and this isn't anything that I like.
Yeah, I'm right with you, dude. I think there's an art, even though it's horror, like there's an art form of telling a story and reaching people where I've seen people just like, we're going for offensive, and like, there's one film, I don't remember the film, I don't remember the film director, but a guy submitted a film to me where the second I turn it on, there's a grown man molesting a boy. Okay, that's how it starts. And I'm looking and I'm like, it doesn't, first off, it doesn't even look too real. Like the kid's doing kind of a bad acting job, if you want to say that. He doesn't look scared as I was thinking, but the guy is covered in blood. He's dripping all over him. And after about 4 minutes, the movie ends. And I'm like,
what's the point?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying trying too hard. I was like, are you just trying to hope that there's an audience stands up and freaks out? Because, you know, you probably won't be there. I'm the freaking host. Like, I don't want that. I don't want my audience to top it all off. Who knows if someone out there in the audience, something like that happened. Like, I'm here to entertain. You didn't show any art at all. You just made a raw film for the sake of what?
And I think like that was, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I just think that was the problem I had with the whole torture porn era. I don't mind. Girl. I think there are some things that I'd seen that were kind of torture porn that had a story that kind of supported some of the nonsense or over the top things. But when you just have a movie, when there's a series of just unnecessary gross kills, rapes, anal sodomy with a broom, just crazy stuff, and there's no story, you are going for shock value and fuck you. That's how I feel about it. I mean, I really do. I don't want to give it time. And just for GP, we do watch every film, no matter how torturous it is. And then there's sometimes I've truly been tortured. Like, I'm like, I got to go lay down now because I just can't, deal with it. But yeah, I'm so glad the whole torture porn era is kind of grinded to a halt, because because for like 2 or 3 years, that's all people did. I'm like, what in the world? Is there no originality out there? Or there were festivals saying, oh, well, this is big right now, so let's put this in. And I'm like, no, I don't ever want to be a trendy type film festival. I don't ever want to, I'm not even a trendy type person, period. And I definitely don't want things that are in right now to be a combination of most of my films. You have to have variety. And another thing is, even if it's not something that I particularly like, we know that certain films have an audience and that people are gonna like those films.
I feel like that's a very common thing too. Working the circuit, there was a lot of comments that were like, not for me, but I see that a general audience might enjoy this. So that's definitely something like this circuit that we 100% considered strongly.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you guys are watching a movie and this is just a personal thing I look at, somebody submits a film to me on Film Freeway, whether it's my early bird fee of $8 to $10 or the late fee. I think I never went past 24 for short films. Never. I just think I see people charging $85. I'm like, you should be freaking shot in the face. But I always made sure, whether it was the worst handheld first-time filmmaker to the best shot on 2 Red Dragons, that I watched every frame up like to the credits end. Because have you guys ever got those people that snap at you because you've denied their film? And say you didn't even watch it? Because I love to hit reply in under 1 minute and tell them all about their film and shut them down, because I understand filmmakers are crazy. A lot of them, I think 70% of them don't know how to take deny. They don't know how to take criticism. I get 30% that might hit reply and say, thank you so much for taking the time. You know, I will submit down the road. But you get crazy people out there that don't understand why you said no.
Yeah, and and I try to be gentle, but I am by nature the nicest person you meet until I'm not. And when people kind of pop their gums with, oh, well, then it automatically, they start to attack your integrity. And I think that's what bothers me. I don't think that I will ever get mad if they get mad that I didn't select their movie. But what I do get pissed off about is when it's, oh, you guys don't, film festival directors or film festival people, they don't even watch movies. They just take our money and this and that. And it's like, if you knew the torture you fucking caused me personally to sit and watch this and then have to rate it, because I don't think we don't just trash movies at all, even if it's just things that we can see with each other. It's, you have to find some good qualities in some movies. And I mean, there's some that, if it's rating a 1 point, whatever, there are no good qualities in it. It was just not a good movie. But try to say something positive. Try to, be, I mean, you're already being fair, but try to not be such a downer. But sometimes it's just not a good film, and that's what it is. But I'll never forget. So the first cycle that we were directors for Horror Hound, I was thinking, oh, let's do a finalist, thing. They didn't get into the film festival, but we'll do finalists. And man, I accidentally sent this guy I had already made him a finalist, but he didn't see it. So by the time the end of the cycle was there, it was a not selected. And man, we got the nastiest email. Well, he starts listing all his accolades, and he was just kind of being mean, to where I felt like, I can reply back to this and be tactful, but put him in his place. And instead, I didn't do it. I just, I sent him a message back, and, I apologized. I'm like, I don't know why you didn't see the finalist. And he's like, well, other film festivals don't do it that way. Well, every film festival doesn't have to do things the way that other ones do. That's the whole point of running your own film festival. You can cater it and do what you want and what you think is best. And we thought it was best to say, hey, you didn't just not get selected. You were a finalist because you were really close, but you didn't get in. And then after I said that, and he went back and looked at his messages, he saw it, but he was just a dick, just to be a dick. There was no reason for him to come at us like that. But I understand some people are sensitive and they can't handle rejection. But if you can't handle rejection as an indie filmmaker, then you're doing the wrong thing. This isn't for you, because you have to know that everyone is not going to love your project. It's not personal. I think you're probably a great person, but this is about business. And if you want me to treat you fair, like I treat other people and our whole team, then you got to roll with the decisions and be okay with them.
You're right. Yeah. No, you're right. And I mean, you could always try to pander to these people as trying to be the nicest. Like, I don't mean to be denying your film and hurting your feelings, because up until towards the end, when I get down to those, I was just saying earlier, like the final 6 hours that I got to cut, and these are all things I wish I could select. I ran out of room. I would write to these people like 24 hours from now, you're going to get an email from Film Freeway saying not selected. I want to write you to tell you there's nothing wrong with your film. I think it's quite amazing, blah, blah, blah. But just due to time restraints, so many venues I can only fit, but like, please don't get discouraged. I've had a lot of filmmakers write me back and say, thank you for that. And even in those 6 hours, sometimes there's 2 or 3 films in there that I got to have. So I'd be like, tomorrow you're getting denied, but I'm welcoming you into my following one 5 months from now. And they get all excited about that.
Yeah.
So like, you're the first. So I try to be. You do get people that just, they don't want to hear it, And I've even had, I was very big on physical awards. At the very beginning, I was doing paper. But once I started getting money in, I would, get something for you. There are people that have won awards from me that didn't show up. I would write to them. They'd be all excited and be like, shoot me an address so I could email your trophy. Seen, and never would get back to me. And I'm like, God damn it, this is profit. Like, I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? But like, some people filmmakers are out there. They're just, I don't know, like, did you not want me to know your address? Well, give me something. Give me another address. I don't know.
A P.O. box, something.
Yeah, but I can't tell you every film festival I have run, I've always had 2 awards that are just, and I've gotten to them. Every
That's
single one of
crazy.
them the next day. But they, I don't get it. I guess they don't care. I'll send them a picture like, this is yours. Congratulations.
That's wild. I don't know, it's like, I don't know, what are you doing? I mean, did you have a fight with your girlfriend or boyfriend and you just, I don't know what happened. It's really weird. Like, I think we've gotten pretty fortunate for the most part to deal with really cool people, and we're hoping to deal with more cool people. And if you're not cool, it's fine. You don't have to be cool, but be cool-ish, like agreeable to a certain degree. I don't expect that we're going to make best friends with everyone we meet, but we're a pretty fun group and we're pretty welcoming, and we just hope to continue to build those relationships. But it is difficult when you have people that they just put a bad taste in your mouth,
I
and
always
you can't get away from that.
I always say film festivals made it when people are writing in a header like such and such ran a film there and said it was like the greatest thing, and this is a place to be. Like when you start getting those, and you don't even remember who the filmmaker is because you had so many films, you kind of know you made it. You're like, oh, cool, because it means they wouldn't take the time to write that, because you were referred. I think that's when you kind of really know. But you guys are been doing this for a while, but this is your first time with Days of the Dead, so I'm wishing you a lot of success.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And thank you for having us on. Seriously.
Absolutely. So as your festivals keep going, feel free to come on. Maybe we'll have another round table like this. That's why I consider this one like a film festival round table for all my viewers out there. But at this time, as we go to wrap it up, is there anything you guys want? Feel free to plug your event here.
Okay, who's first?
or anything else? Have the floor. Go for it.
I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and plug our kickoff party again. I know a lot of people are coming down for Days of the Dead Atlanta, and I don't think that the film festival has ever done a kickoff party. I think this is the first one. So we have our gracious host, which is the Community Star Bar in Atlanta, Georgia. We have Elzig, and I don't know how to say their name, but they're so dope. I think it's Genki Panic or Genki Panic.
I think that's it.
They're like surf dungeon rock. They're a great time. So I'm just going to plug that. It's going to be an awesome time. It's $10 at the door. We start at 8 p.m. We're going to go until essentially TBD, and it's going to be an amazing kickoff, and it's your first opportunity to meet people for the weekend. So you can't miss out on that.
Yeah, what she said. And we're incredibly excited to be a part of the Days of the Dead. We've had an amazing time working with Bill. We've had an amazing time for years with Days of the Dead attendees, and it's really nice. It kind of feels like it was a natural progression that this might happen, but we didn't expect it, but it's really cool. And our convention is next month, February 24th through the 27th. Again, the Film Fest starts a day early with that screening and kickoff party, and submissions for the summer cycle are opening in about a week. So that'll be up on Film Freeway soon.
So give the audience the address of where this is all going down one more time.
This is at the the Sheraton Atlanta Hotel, 165 Cortland Northeast, in Atlanta, Georgia. I think that's right.
You nailed it.
Yes, you did.
Any final plugs? Any final words there, George?
No, just I look forward to everybody making it out. If you aren't doing anything in the weekend, if you can only make it one day, come on out. Even if it's not just the film festival, enjoy the convention. There's gonna be a lot of fun stuff that you can end up doing. There's a pool there, so enjoy the pool parties, stuff like that. Awesome bands. So it's much more than just a film festival. It's much more than just a convention. It's a damn good time with damn good people. So,
and the vendors, can't leave the vendors out. There will be amazing vendors there. So if you are looking for a gift or you want something for yourself and want to treat yourself, budget your money. Always tell people budget, see what you want to get, but there's always the most amazing things in vendors. They are kind of the heart of the convention also. So make sure you show them some love.
Absolutely. And I will always tell my audience, which, I have a lot of the horror movie fans that do follow this, but anyone who's listening on Spotify, I know a lot of people from all walks of my life that are checking out this podcast. if you've never been to a horror movie convention, and you're near Atlanta, go check this out. I just for something different, even if like slasher and horror isn't your thing, like it's a fun time. It's not a scary time in any way. It's a
you'll never see anything like it ever.
You
and
won't.
And there's a tattoo expo with this one. So if you're into tattoos, there's a tattoo expo also. There's something for everybody. It really is. I promise it is.
God, yeah. And I will also say if I'm in the Philadelphia area and we have a convention called Monster Mania, and here I am talking to the guy, the crew here from Days of the Dead, and I could tell you, if it wasn't for conventions, there's 200 and some people, friends I would not have now, and I would have never made my film The Dark Military if it wasn't from the connections that I made at these conventions. That's how important that these things are. They're important, they're fun, and they're family. And you should go check it out.
100%.
Absolutely.
Sweet. So I like to thank this audience for stopping by Average Superstar TV once again. Please give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Also check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon. New episodes drop every Monday morning at 5 a.m. And I thank George, Sophia, and Audrey once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sweet. And with that, I say goodbye.